Jill Stein is a physician from Boston. She is the presidential candidate for the Green Party. Joining us well in London, Stephanie Flanders, who I'm sure will voice in here as well. Dr. Stein, wonderful to have you back. Are you running now as a third-party candidate? How do you shift in the days before the election as you see Mr. Trump gain on Secretary Clinton?
Well, you know, I think the American people are still not happy with their choices. These are the most disliked and untrusted candidates in our history. And with each passing day, there are more revelations that confirm that Hillary Clinton indeed is the queen of corruption and that Donald Trump himself is a walking scandal. And I think the American people are more hungry than ever for a politics of integrity and for real solutions that would put our economy back on track as a productive economy.
Here's a metric we follow at Bloomberg, Dr. Stein. It looks like a medical chart from your days at Beth Israel Deacons. Bring the chart up if you would, Anthony. We've shown this through the day. Here is the Trump surge. Dr. Stein is shown by Mexican peso. And of course, this is linked into the wall and all the emotion you just spoke of. The three debates are within the blue circle showing the Clinton surge. Ross Perot had a certain process as a third-party candidate. This time we have two third-party candidates that have really received traction. What would you like to see from yourself and from Mr. Johnson in the coming days as you affect this election?
You know, I think from my point of view, what's really important here is to let the American people know that their votes really count. I urge people not to throw your vote away on a failed two-party system, but to invest your vote in a real movement for change. We are at the threshold of 5%, reached 5% according to a recent political poll. And if we reach that 5%, that means we have matching funds for the 2020 election. It also means we have automatic ballot status.
I'll take your point there on 5% being critical and being a new America as well. And as you mentioned, so many Americans, as we saw with Senator Sanders and with Mr. Trump, fed up with the system, this new populism. Great. What are you going to do in the battleground states, and are you going to lose a battleground state for the secretary?
You know, from the polls I've seen, Governor Johnson and myself together essentially neutralize each other out, and we do not have an impact on the difference between Clinton and Trump. You know, I think we're in a losing battle here. It's a race to the bottom between the greater and the lesser evil. The politics of fear delivered everything we were afraid of, and our politicians do not have an entitlement to our votes. They have to earn our votes. The American people were clamoring, still are clamoring for other voices and other choices. They deserve to be empowered and informed to be the driver of our democracy.
And that is undeniable, and you're absolutely right on that. But you're talking about 5%. Do you not feel that a race being so close, and we're 6 days to the election, that a vote for you would be a vote for Donald Trump?
Actually not. In fact, I think the only answer to Donald Trump is a truly progressive agenda. As Bernie himself said many times over, the only solution to the right-wing surge is actually answering the real economic drivers of that incredible stress, which drives right-wing extremism.
Even if he becomes president. Even if he becomes president. Even if he becomes president.
You know, I think it's a race to the bottom between the greater and lesser evil. Where did the surge for Donald Trump come from? It came from the Wall Street crash. The groundwork for that was laid by the Clintons with the Wall Street deregulation and NAFTA. I think we're going to see more of the same. If the Clintons come into office, we're going to see more of what's been driving this incredible economic hardship. Same thing over in Europe. This stuff isn't coming out of nowhere. It's the globalization, it's the financialization, it's the offshoring of jobs, it's the driving down of wages. We need an economy that works for ordinary working people if we are ever going to get out of the cycle.
I understand that 100%, but this will be, come January 21st, or actually 22nd, either Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton in the White House. Who is the less of the two evils in your mind?
You know, in my view, this is a choice between a proto-fascist and a warmonger. And either pathway is extremely destructive to us. I think it's very important coming out of this race that we have momentum, that we hit the ground running with a true opposition party. And my campaign is the only one that is not corrupted by lobbyist money, by corporate money, and by a super PAC. We have the only agenda that actually meets the needs of the American people for an emergency jobs program and a solution to the climate crisis.
I want to show a snapshot here of the real economy here, the American economy. I don't know if you've seen this, Dr. Stein, but this works. This may be my chart of the year. The presidential moving average, the 4-year moving average, back 20 years, and we've gone from morning in America, 4% real GDP down, and we are down almost 43% in economic growth year over year, down to a stunning 1.9%. That goes to the debate over populism. Am I correct that within the Green Party, you suggest we should eliminate the Electoral College? How do you feel, Dr. Stein, about a close presidential race, if you will, another Chad race, versus a different mathematics of the Electoral College?
Absolutely. I think we get much closer to democracy. We make every vote count.
Is it too much democracy?
In my opinion, no. What I believe we really need, actually, is the voting reform so that we're not trapped by this politics of fear, because most people are voting against the candidate they fear the most. We need a moral compass. Democracy needs our values. A simple reform called ranked choice voting would allow you to rank your choices, so if your first choice loses, your vote is automatically reassigned to your second choice. This is an obvious, no-brainer reform that would actually free up voters to bring their values into this election. If we cannot express our values in a presidential campaign, when exactly can we bring them to bear?
Right. Dr. Stein, do you feel in any way that you would be a setback if, do you feel like you're an impediment actually to the first woman being elected president?
Well, I think the great advantage in this race, and you could say the inconvenient truth, is that people actually have a choice to vote for a woman who is not a militarist, an imperialist, and a corporatist, and who actually supports an agenda for women. Hillary Clinton talks the talk, but if you actually look at her agenda, the NAFTA, Wall Street deregulation, dismantling aid to families with dependent children, the basic social safety net, was essentially dissolved by Hillary and Bill Clinton, not to mention depressing the miserable poverty wages in Haiti and bombing other families and children around the world. This is not an agenda for women.